สวัสดีครับต้อนรับคุณผู้ชมเข้าสู่รายการ CEO Agenda ครับสัปดาห์นี้ผมพลวัตผู้วิพัฒน์พาคุณผู้ชมมาอยู่ที่บริษัท Total Access Communication จำกัดมหาชนหรือว่าบริษัท Dtec นั่นเองครับวันนี้นะครับมาเตรียมความพร้อมมองดูสิ่งที่จะเปลี่ยนแปลงไปนะครับในปี 2014 ไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องราวของประเทศไทยเองหรือว่าวงการโทรคมนาคมของบ้านเรานะครับวันนี้มาพูดคุยกับผู้บริหารของ Dtec นะครับที่สำคัญเราจะมามองดูด้วยนะครับว่าท่านมีแนวทางในการบริหารงานอย่างไรและมีเคล็ดลับอย่างไรนะครับติดตามพูดคุยกันนะครับกับคุณจอห์นเอ็ดดี้อับดุลลาห์ครับสวัสดีครับคุณจอห์น
สวัสดีครับ
ครับ May I shake your hand?
You sure can. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. So as we coming toward the end of 2013, so we all have to prepare for the opportunities and challenges for the upcoming year. In your view, what are mega trends for 2014?
Wow, there's so many. I'd like to start with a little bit about what the vision of the company is, and then that leads right into the trends. The vision of our company is how do we empower societies? How do we make a difference in people's lives? And the biggest thing that we see right now is specifically the internet. So I think the way that the company's vision and its strategy greatly lines up with what I'm going to say next. So it's all about how do we change the future? How do we use the business and what we're capable of doing to improve people's lives? And I think it's all around the internet. So what's the big mega trends? Social is unbelievable right now. I'm sure you're on Facebook.
Of course.
A few minutes a day, yeah?
Maybe a few hours a day.
Exactly. Facebook in Thailand is an unbelievable success story. Bangkok is the most connected city in the world. Savarnabhumi Airport is the most Instagram location in the world. We're a very social society. So social is huge. What we have to do for our business is move from social networks to social business. How do we benefit by this massive explosion? Not only for ourselves and our business, but for you, the consumer. What can I do with you on social that you like? Meaning you can buy my services, change packages, maybe get a new phone. So how do we incorporate that into the way you actually live your life today? That's a big megatrend. Second, applications. It started out with applications on a few iPhones, and then it went to Android. And now we're seeing applications in everything. I read a story the other day, and this is a really strange story. A rice cooker. Most of us have a rice cooker in our house, right? This rice cooker connects with your phone. You can look for recipes on your Android phone. When you find what you like, you click on it. You send the recipe to the rice cooker. The rice cooker sets itself up to prepare that dish.
Really?
To cook it at the right temperature for the right time. You just put the ingredients. The rice cooker tells you what to put in.
Oh, cool.
This is just a small example how applications are finding their way into anything. The next big one. Most of the coveted jobs, the new jobs in today's world, they didn't exist 10 years ago.
For example?
People that work around social networking, we didn't have it. So specifically anything around social, we didn't have it. We didn't have real big data where we had data analytic people and how do we use that data in the right way for the consumer? We didn't have it. Online advertising, there wasn't such a thing. And the list goes on and on and on. So people have to be prepared for the new thing and then prepare themselves to be relevant. So it's just vastly changing, and those are only a few examples.
I see. What about Dtec? Do you prepare for those changes?
We do, and we call it one digital Dtec inside.
One digital Dtec.
How do we transform ourselves inside the company to meet this vision that we have, empowering societies, to use the internet as our strategy? How do we change ourselves? And that's not easy. How do we find the right competence? How do we make sure people can change their jobs fluidly to meet those requirements? How do we structure ourselves? Are we too bureaucratic? Is there too much paper? Do we not even use our own services enough to be quick and efficient? This is probably the biggest challenge for CEOs today, is how do we prepare our companies to meet the needs in the future?
So are you ready?
I would say on a journey. I would say that we have the ideas and we know roughly what we want to do. I can't look at you with a straight face and say we've completed the task. I don't think it's a journey that you ever complete. I think you're always evolving and changing. But I do think we know enough now to be prepared.
If we take a look at Dtec performance, for example, if we take a closer look for the 3G business, how is the picture of the performance so far?
First of all, the industry is growing nicely. I'm very, very happy that we went through licensing a year and a half ago. Those networks are expanding greatly. I'm sure you have experienced better service and greater speeds. So from an industry level, I'm very pleased. We reported our results last night, so I have some recent information. The number of 3G devices in the nation grew at a faster rate in Q3 than ever before. The number of 3G customers that we have and the others have grew more in 3G than ever, third quarter than ever before. The number of people using data grew faster in Q3 than ever before. So we believe that we're doing quite well in that. My numbers are very healthy. Can we do better? Always can do better. It's very competitive. But I'm very pleased with the growth right now.
What are the factors that support the growth? Because the economic data, or the economy, Thai economy right now is in the downturning point. How come the telecommunications sector is growing?
It's a very good question. We were a little concerned in Q3 too, because as you mentioned, we saw a little softness in the economy. And we're a mass market product that people buy daily. We can sense that when it's a bit soft. But telecoms is interesting. People need a phone before they need food and water some days, right? Many of us sleep with our phone.
I do.
You do, I know. And if it makes a noise or vibrates, you wake up. So the device has found its way into the top 3 needs of a human being. The first need is money, the ability to purchase goods. The second need is actually a key. And this is about security, whether it's a key or the ability to unlock something. The third is a phone right now. So it's already gotten its way into the top 3. We know that a phone can open a door now with a code, and we can transfer money online through the phone. So actually, all we need is a phone.
Exactly.
So it's very, very resilient. That's the base. The second thing that I think we've done very well, we've packaged the phone and our service at a lower fee. It's more accessible to the masses. We allow you to buy internet for an hour or a day or a week or a month, whatever you want. And we've lowered the cost of the device through our TriNet phone, which is very affordable. When we put those together, more and more people now get access, internet for all.
Now I would like to know more about the competition for 3G business. Do you have fun seeing each the 3 major operators trying to attract consumers and come up with a new price and stuff?
I think it's needed. Without competition, I think everyone gets a little bit stale and a bit stagnant and maybe complacent. So we need that healthy competition, because who benefits? The consumer. You benefit by that.
So you're happy with the competition right now?
I'm absolutely happy with it. Every day that I come to work, I get a brief on what happened yesterday. Who did what? What do we need to do? That's very invigorating.
But it's like you're running a marathon.
You're running a marathon, yeah, but it's not just a marathon. Sometimes you sprint, and sometimes you rest, take a drink of water, and then sometimes you jog. So it's an interesting race. But wouldn't life be boring if it wasn't like that? I can't imagine anything else. And remember, at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? Delight the consumer. Make sure the consumer loves us. That's what we're trying to do. If it was the same every day, that'd be kind of boring. So I'm okay with the competition.
Okay. But one thing that people are seeing right now is the price war.
Yep.
What's your view on this?
I wouldn't call it a price war yet.
What do you call it?
A price war is, I would say, very destructive, and it spirals down quick. I would say it's very, very good and healthy competition. What are we competing on right now? The consumer, number one, to get the consumer, but really to maximize our efficiency to meet the need at a lower cost. Anytime someone does something at a pricing level, how do we do it at that level, and how do we still make money? How do we still grow our business? It actually changes the way that we're structured. It forces me to think about more efficient ways to meet need. It's not a price war right now. And remember, I think we also have to think back. The MBTC wanted us to be more competitive in pricing. We all talked about the 15% price reduction. We're way more than that. So competition has already taken us below that. the regulator has succeeded and the consumers benefited. So far, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Now take a look at TriNet from Dtec. What do you offer to consumers? What are your benefits to attract consumers to be part of your program, your system, your operator?
Great question. TriNet's different than what our competitors did. Our competitors said 3G and 4G and 2.1 and a lot of technical terms, and we decided we don't think consumers are going to care about that in the future. We wanted to put an envelope or an umbrella around a way of communicating. What do you get kind of on a package? And we call it TriNet. What do we have in TriNet that the others don't? We have more spectrum, which gives faster speeds and better quality. We have 3 bands of spectrum, meaning almost any phone that's out in the market today can access TriNet. That means open access for all. That's an advantage that we have. The experience itself, we want to make sure that don't worry about technology. We will make sure that TriNet provides the quality, the speed, the capacity to meet your need. Just trust us, we'll take care of you. So I think it's a whole ecosystem that we're offering, which is a bit different than what the others have done.
I can see a strong differentiation from TriNet.
Yeah.
Now, if we take a look at the competition right now, of course we see the quality that each operator trying to make the greatest network and come up with the technology. And another part is the branding. So how do you balance between branding, communications, and the quality that you would like to assure to the consumers?
Excellent question. What you're talking about, branding tends to be more emotional, but it has functional attributes. That's more the technical and what do I get part of it. In the past, Dtec and Happy were extremely emotional. That's our history. People love Happy, they love Dtec. It's something that most CEOs would die for. How do I get that connection?
You have a very strong brand.
We have a very strong brand. We have that. But I felt that we were a little bit weak on the functional side. It didn't always work as well as it could. The quality wasn't quite as high as it should be. So we improved the functionality. TriNet, the functionality came in. Now I believe we have a really good balance between emotional and functional. That's really exciting for me now. And it's now just coming into balance. Now it's how do we leverage that? How do we make sure the consumer loves us, yet it works? It's at the right price. He gets what he wants, but he still loves us. That's what we're doing right now. And I really think we're going to succeed through TriNet, and people are going to go, wow, they did it again.
I would like to focus more about the quality. So what have Dtec and yourself done so far to assure the quality of the network?
Well, we started a journey almost 2 years ago. We replaced all of our 2G equipment with the latest technology, and that's what we call the swap. And we finished that over a year ago. So brand new network. Then we put 850 3G in, brand new 3G. And we just now rolled out 2.1, brand new 2.1. It's the latest technology. The best that the world has to offer, not only out in the field, but in our networks and in our core networks. So the consumer should see more reliability, better speeds. Somehow it just works better. I don't have the problems I used to have. We think that is gained through this upgrade. I personally feel the difference. Okay. I had an email from a colleague this morning. And in it was the speed test. You know the speed test where you push the button? This colleague sent it to me, and he copied it. And the speed was 30 megabits a second. And the email was very simple. John, wow, great job. That makes me feel good. And this was just this morning's email. Okay. So I think we're doing okay.
So if we see the decision-making process of consumer in terms of choosing service or operators, what do people consider when they start to use or choose the operator?
First thing is network.
network?
I think network is still really, really important.
So functional side is more
Functional
important?
still leads. I think network is really important, and with 3G services, it's even more important. People want to know, do I have coverage where I live and work? Are the speeds adequate where I live and work? Do I keep connected where I live and work? So that's really, really important. The second thing we're seeing now, people are moving from smart to feature, or from feature to smartphone. How much does that cost? Which company provides me the best package? Do they service it? Is there a warranty? So that's a big piece. And then we get down to the service fees. How much does it cost? What is the package? Does it meet my need? Do they have a week package, a month package, an hourly package? Do they meet what I require? I think those three are the primary drivers. Obviously, brand gets in there eventually, and I hope most people say Happy is great. I love Happy, or Dtec is great. I love it, and that's the deciding factor. Because I think on the first three, we do a really, really good job.
Okay, so please correct me as I understand it incorrectly. So the fact that Dtec launched the TriNet pretty late comparing to the other two operators, because you concern and give importance to the quality and the service, is it right?
In hindsight, I would say yes, because I observed that the transitions of not only ourselves but our competitors, it's difficult. We had 3 networks now to integrate and make sure that works. I don't want to put you through that testing phase. So in hindsight, I would do the same thing.
So you make sure, slow but sure.
Make sure that it's right. We're about delivering quality and a promise that it will work, and I think we've delivered that. In the migration, as customers move from the old network to the new network, that's just a timing issue. And I think we're living up to our promise that the experience is going to be better. It's worth the wait. By the end of the year, a lot of this migration and porting is over anyway, so we're talking about a very small period of time.
For the period of 2013, what is the revenue that you expect to see for this year?
Our guidance right now is growth year on year between 5% and 7%. So I think we're on track for that. Q3, as I mentioned, was a little bit soft. Would have liked to seen a stronger growth, but 5 to 7% growth for Dtec, we're pretty confident in.
What about the last quarter of this year?
We're back to more what I would say what we expect in Q4. Q4 is always great.
Always happy.
Everyone's happy. Everyone talks. Everyone uses the internet. Q4 is, I think, Thailand's quarter. So we come alive. So far, so good. But it's early days, right? We watch it every single day.
So you don't expect any number?
No, we'll stay to the growth that I've given.
Okay. So what about in terms of investment? I heard that for this year you set the budget 14 billion baht.
14.5 billion baht. This is primarily on the 2.1 network, the new 3G network. We stay to that guidance. We've expanded the 3G network. We added another 500 base stations, which gives us about 5% more population coverage. So we're going rapidly out. I think right now consumers will be really, really happy in the areas that we serve, and obviously next year we'll grow that coverage even more. So getting better every day.
What about next year? Do you prepare, do you set any budget for the investment in 2014?
We're just going into the cycle right now. We'll be finished in December, and at that point then I'll give some guidance for the coming year, but at this time not yet.
Okay. So now, seems like you enjoy the competition here. And also, what about 4G? Do you think it's necessary for Thai consumers to have 4G?
Absolutely. We waited too long for 3G. We had so much pent-up demand. That's why you see things growing so quickly. 4G is here. It works. We have 4G networks available today. We can buy them. The TriNet network is prepared for 4G. So for us to go from 3G to 4G only takes a few minutes at each cell site, so it can go really, really fast. The challenge we have in Thailand is spectrum. How do we provide enough new spectrum to put this new technology in so the consumer gets the speeds that he should have? And that's what we're going through right now. We expect an auction in September, which could provide more spectrum for 4G, but we believe there's not enough. We believe there should be more spectrum. So we're working with the authorities and the MBTC to see how that could happen.
So you are ready to get into the auction again?
Absolutely. I'm ready to further invest in spectrum, further develop technology in Thailand. I can tell you what, when we get 4G out and we compete on 4G, all three companies, it's going to explode just like 3G.
Nice. Talking about auction, these days people are looking at the digital TV auction, and your competitors seem to be very interested in jumping into the auction. Why Dtec not really interested?
We're a pure mobile company. I'm more interested in getting access to content. I don't want to be the one that's responsible for the development of that content. We think there's other people that are better suited to do that. So I really, really hope that that goes well. I hope that those players really develop content, and I hope that I can work with them to deliver that content through the phone, whether through TriNet 3G or 4G in the future. So I'm more looking forward to how to put that content on the phone. Sometimes it's best that companies focus and do really well at what they do best.
I see. Again, another strategy that I see Dtec is quite different from the others in terms of building brand. Your competitors try to use presenters or celebrity to testimonial, to become a testimonial for their services and their brand. How come I don't see any presenters from your brand?
It's a very common strategy, not only in Thailand but in other countries. We felt that that costs a lot of money. We wanted to give that to our consumers indirectly, whether that's through better network or lower costs. So we're funneling that money towards the consumer. Is that the right strategy? I hope so. We'll have to let time tell. Dtec has never ever been about one person or one figure. Dtec has always been a mass market company that goes to the market. The star of Dtec is our employees. The secret weapon that we have is all of us. And that's the way our consumers and our customers know us. I think if we put up a figure, people would go, what happened to Dtec? What happened to the heart and soul of Dtec? So the star of Dtec is its employees.
Okay, now you're talking about employees. If one person wants to become an employee of Dtec, what are the qualifications of that person should have?
As I mentioned earlier, one of the top challenges that the industry in the world has right now is finding talent in areas that didn't exist before. They're new skills, they're new talents. We're looking for people that, first of all, have some new skill. They're social in nature, they're on net, they're more digital, so they think a little bit
So
different.
you like employee who use Facebook or connect to others all the time?
IT-based people, people that come out of more analytical work, because there's a lot of data involved, and they have to be comfortable in change. Because even though I hire you to do this job, that job may quickly change into something else within a year or two. So I'm looking for people that are more flexible. I think today's youth, first of all, they're much more geared to that than maybe you and I. Well, maybe you are a little bit younger than I. But I wasn't geared that way. I was geared to do a job, and this was my job. It's harder for me to change roles. The youth and our new employees, they must be able to do that. And they must be able to come to work and say, oh, it's all changed. Okay, I can deal with that. I'll do it differently tomorrow. That's what we're looking for. It's hard to find, not only in Thailand but all over the world. So it's not a Thai challenge. It's an international challenge.
But you have to find those people to work with Dtec.
We have to. We're working with local universities. I'm actually speaking at universities now. I
So
do
you
it.
become professor?
Well, I don't
Teacher?
know. I don't know if I can call myself a professor. I speak to the students how to run business, leadership and management. What are the opportunities for you? At the same time, they're asking me questions. So I'm kind of looking for the best talent in the audience. Who asked me the best question?
Oh,
Who
cool.
came up afterwards and had a chat with me? And then when I get back to the office, I have someone follow up.
Wow, great. Oh, so whenever you go and speak, I will tell the audience to raise their hand and ask you good question.
Very good.
So they will get job, right? Okay. So you speak to students about leadership and maybe organizational management.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about this? What are your major principles that you use every day as a CEO of Dtec?
I'm very passionate about this area. I think many companies, many CEOs, many industries are still stuck in an industrial age way of thinking. Set targets, hit the target at all costs, be measured on the target. And we get so consumed in hitting targets that it becomes a very unemotional way of work.
But that's the structural way, the systematic way that we have learned it before. So
It
you're
is.
saying it's not right?
It doesn't work in today's world.
Oh, really?
Today's world is knowledge-based worker. Most of us are knowledge-based workers. I don't work in a factory. It's really what do I think of that day and how do I use the thoughts in my head and how do I communicate that. We work in teams. We collaborate on projects. No one person can actually do anything without many other people involved. So it's become a more knowledge-based, collaborative working style. But then how do you get people to excel in that? And how do you get managers and leaders to actually stimulate that? That's why I coach and mentor a lot. I sit with my leaders, I sit with my managers, and I say, how do you do that? Where are your challenges? Not so much the target, but what does it take to hit the target? What do we have to change? Is it a structural issue, a money issue, a competency issue, timing issue? How do we fix it? So I call it like practicing for a football game. The more you practice, the better chance you have to score a goal. So we work on that a lot. Means development, ability development, and then we hope we score more goals.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
And now we want to know more about you, not as a CEO, but as a person who's been working in many places around the world. As I remember, you worked in Pakistan before you become a CEO here in Thailand. What's the differences between working there and what's your impression living there, and what's the difference being here?
I've lived and worked in about 4 or 5 countries now.
4 or 5 countries?
4 or 5 countries.
Can you name it?
I worked in Malaysia.
Malaysia.
I worked in the Czech Republic. I
Oh,
worked
cool.
in Pakistan. I worked in Thailand. I worked in the United States. So the one thing that's the same is all people are people. All people are human beings. We respond to the same stimuli, really. There's cultural wrapping around it. So we might act differently culturally. But what drives us as human beings is the same. And that's where this management and leadership style that I've practiced all over, I'm convinced it's the same. Human beings are the same. What's different between Pakistan and Thailand? Pakistan is a challenging country. They have so many challenges. They don't have power. They don't have water. They don't have gas. They don't have the basic necessities. They don't have the means to develop their nation. That's a big problem. We have the opposite problem. We have all of the means. We have all of the ability. We just have to focus. You know, when I look outside my walls and look at Bangkok, I just see so much opportunity. I see consumers that have need. What do I do? What's important today? So I would call it more of a focusing issue. Let's do these things right, and then just keep getting better every day. Totally different challenge. Totally different challenge.
So you enjoy being here?
Love it.
You love it? You love Thai food?
Thai food is the reason that I'm this size. I used to be much thinner. I have a real soft spot for Thai food. Many different favorites. Khao soy.
Khao soy.
Is my favorite. Now, if you put khao soy in front of me, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. There's
'Cause
no
you finish it very
discussion.
fast?
No discussion. It's me and my khao soy, and that's it. So that's my weakness. So Thai food is a weakness.
Besides food, what else do you like about Thailand?
It's not perfect. I like to work in environments that aren't perfect, that they're a little bit turbulent, so that you can make a difference. Not everything is developed. We don't have internet everywhere. Not everyone has a phone. There's still opportunity. And what I like most about Thailand, the means is there. It's not like the Pakistan case with, what do I do? I don't even have power. It's all there. All we have to do is convince our employees to meet that need. How do we do that? That's exciting. I get out of bed in the morning and I kind of race to the office. I can't wait. What are we going to do today? There's not too many places on the planet that can say that. I'll use the US as an example. I couldn't do what I do in the US. It's too big, there's too many specifics, there's too many players, there's too many brands. It would be a very specific role. Here, I can be Yahoo, Google, I can be any advertising company I want, I can be a bank, I can be a network provider, an internet provider, an applications provider. So much opportunity. That's exciting.
Great. So you love food and opportunities here. What do you don't like about Thailand?
The traffic.
The traffic.
The traffic. Now, the only thing I can say about the traffic, I have Wi-Fi in my car. I have a laptop that has a SIM card in it. So in the morning, my laptop sits on my lap. I get a lot of work done in the traffic, but
so you have to thank the traffic.
Actually, traffic has been responsible for many of my good ideas. But personally, I don't like the traffic. That's a challenge for me.
Okay. For the 2014, what changes do you want Thailand to make?
Specifically on the industry, I think we have a real opportunity to leapfrog our neighbors and do 4G right. We got beat by our neighbors on 3G. We made it too complicated, it took too long. We have an opportunity with 4G to do it right. We can really leverage that to advance the growth of the company or the country. I know it will grow GDP. I know it will prepare us better for the AEC.
Are you saying that if the industry is growing, the GDP, the economy will grow?
There's a direct relationship.
Really?
There's a direct relationship between the amount of network and GDP, 3G penetration in GDP, and also we're seeing 4G on some of the more advanced countries in GDP. So there's a direct relationship, and we have the opportunity. And I just really don't want us to miss it. I don't want to take years to go through that process. If you look forward with AEC in 2015, we must be ready. We must have our people ready. We must have our competencies ready. We must have our technology ready. It's coming. We can't avoid it. 4G is just an integral part of that, and I hope we don't miss it.
Talking about AEC, do you think Thailand right now is ready for the challenges or even opportunities provided by AEC?
I'm not sure that I know enough to answer that question properly. I see it as change. As I mentioned before, the world is changing and the products and services are changing. AEC is going to change. We have to prepare for change. The Thai worker has to prepare for change. And it's going to be more competitive. Therefore, we have to get everyone ready that tomorrow may be different. The skills required may be different. We can't sit back and just wait. We can't be complacent. So change is coming and we have to prepare.
Okay. Yourself. I would like to know, like, you are a CEO right now, but when you were young, when you were maybe 5 years old, what were your dreams? Would you like to become a soldier? Would you like to become a professor or a CEO?
This is going to sound really boring.
Really?
When I was 10 years old, I knew that I wanted to be an engineer. My mother worked for IBM.
Oh.
I knew that I wanted to be the CEO of IBM when I was 10 years old. I remember telling my mom that. Now, I had no idea what that meant, but I wanted to do that. She worked with engineers that traveled around the world, so I knew that there was more than the United States. There was a bigger place. So I think early on I knew that I would eventually go international. In the middle, I wanted to be a pilot. For a brief point, I wanted to be a pilot.
Why is that?
My father flew private aircraft.
Oh, cool.
And I used to fly with him, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just go into the Air Force, and then maybe I'll be a commercial pilot. I nearly had my license before I even had my driver's license. But then girls and other things got in the way, and, and I went to university and became an engineer.
Oh, you went to Montana University?
I went to Montana State University, which is as far from Bangkok as you can get. Very good education, very challenging. prepared me well, I believe. Very Midwest upbringing. We work hard in the Midwest. Hardworking, first to work, last to leave. So a very great education in hindsight. I miss it a lot.
Okay, from Montana State University, how can you, go around the world and being here?
It's a long story. It's a story of taking risk in extraordinary points of time, and it happened repeatedly. And it came down, people would call me. There's 3 or 4 phone calls that I took in my career where I took the call and a job opened up and I left that border. So I left the United States because someone said, do you want to work in Malaysia? And within a week I was in Malaysia. Didn't even have a passport. I was in Malaysia and someone said, do you want to work in the Czech Republic? I got a phone call and I was there in 24 hours. I went for the interview, got the job. I was in the Czech Republic. Someone called me back from Malaysia. Would you like to come back? I was in Malaysia.
You say yes?
I said yes. I was back within a week. And it's come down to just a phone call. I look at my wife and she says, okay, let's go.
So she supports you?
She supports me. We ask the kids and the kids say, yeah, it's okay. So it's kind of like a traveling circus almost.
I see. So as a CEO, maybe you don't have much time for your family. How do you balance between work and life?
It's a really big challenge. I think that I do really well with my children. I think I'm giving my children the time. I go home and have dinner nearly every night, and that's a promise to my children. We eat dinner at the table. What happens after is not good. Then I go back to work, whether I'm in the seating room or the TV room, and I feel like I'm not giving my wife enough time. So that is a real challenge. Weekends I'm home, but I do find myself with a laptop or a device, more so than I should. I don't do as much sports as I wish I would. I used to play a lot of golf. I'm not so good anymore, and I'm not sure that I don't play golf because I don't have time or I don't want to get the score that I'm going to get. So I'm not sure why I don't golf as much as I do, but a lot of family time. That really keeps me grounded. My children don't care who I am. I'm just dad, and I'm there to help them with their education and parenting. They don't care if I'm a CEO. They don't care if I had a board meeting. They don't care if I was on TV. I'm just dad.
That's nice. So you don't consider yourself as a workaholic person?
No, I wouldn't say that. I do go home 7 or 7:30 every single night. I do things at night, but I'm not one that sits in the office. I think there has to be family time, and I tell my employees to do it. And I know they don't listen to me as much as they should. But if you don't spend time with your children, that time goes, they grow up. You don't get it back. I can work forever, I can work until I die, but this period of time is irreplaceable. So family time is important.
Okay, nice to know this too. I'm sure the audience would love to use your thought and your practice in their life as well. So now coming back to Dtec, and I take a look at here, what is this?
It's an award. Now Dtec doesn't celebrate awards and say, yeah, we're the greatest. But this is an award that has special meaning. It's an award that's given by our main shareholder, the Telenor Group. And each year we get together as a company, we do celebrate success. And we give away awards in different categories, 4 categories. Internet, innovation, people, customer, and the biggest award, the Academy Award, is the best performing company. Now this is a function of financial performance and shareholder performance and many other categories. And this year Dtec won that award.
So and it's here.
There it is. We're very proud of it. It's not the award or being recognized for the numbers. It's what I told you before. Everything that we're doing in the company, preparing our people, fixing our processes, better network, TriNet, better packaging, better promotion, more devices, all of this comes together, the means, and this is the recognition that we're on the right track. So I'm extremely proud of it and what it represents for our employees, that we're doing the right things.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now when you talk about Telenor, I would like to know more about this giant company. What is its winning strategy in this competitive world?
It's a really phenomenal story. We started out from a home company, Norway, which has 5 million people. Dtec has 27.5 million customers. So it's 1/5 the size of Dtec. So a very small country. But Norwegians are known to go out. They're known to leave their shores. And I think they early on saw that mobility and providing communication services was something that they're good at. If you know anything about Scandinavian developed, that's where a lot of the mobile networks started, NMT 450. So there's a heritage around communications and mobility. And then they just took it offshore, and they started in Europe, and then we sent some people to Asia, and then Asia got bigger, and now Asia represents over 50% of our revenue and most of our growth. So it's a phenomenal story from a small little country. What's the secret ingredient or the secret sauce? I think it comes down to our way of work. We don't over control. We don't say do it all the same way. We don't say this is exactly how you must go to your market. We put people like me and a few of my CXOs out there, and we say this is what we want you to do as a framework. Make it happen. We have very consistent vision and values, which we all operate under, but it's really up to the individual to bring that. And I think that's the secret sauce, the people and how we work. I think one of the biggest things for Asia is one of our values: be respectful. Be respectful in the area that you work, the country that you work. We're not Thai as a shareholder, but we become a Thai company. We try to take everything that's Thai in the little bit that we think can help, put those together and create something new. It must be working, because in all of our Asia companies, I think we're doing quite well on a competitive standpoint.
You mentioned that 50% of the revenue for Telenor coming from Asia.
That's correct.
How does Telenor view Asia right now? What are the opportunities and which markets that it wants to penetrate? Myanmar?
Well, Myanmar is new. If you see, when I first started with Telenor, we only had two. We had Malaysia and Thailand. And along the way, we picked up Pakistan, then India, Bangladesh. Excuse me, Bangladesh was in there first, so 3. And then Myanmar. So we're one of the only European companies that has an Asian presence around so many countries. If you put all of those population together, we have over 1 billion potential customers under that. That's 1/5 or 1/6 of the world's population. That's quite an opportunity. So I think they see Asia as opportunity. They see Asia as growth. And most importantly, we're innovative out here. Most people think innovation happens in the US or in Europe. It's not true. I think Thailand, at least as seen from my group, is one of the most innovative companies and countries that we have. Yes, because the Thai people are so eager to accept this new technology. And the other thing is there's no other alternative. There's not a fixed network. So mobility is perfect solution for Asia growth.
But any particular market that Telenor is looking right now?
Well, we're just getting prepared to launch in Myanmar, as you know, and one of 2 companies that got licenses in Myanmar, so we're very excited about that. What next? I don't know. We'll have to see if any other opportunities come up. But again, Telenor is very, very careful. We pick a spot, we do it well. We make sure that it's up and running, and then we go on. So it's not something that we spread ourselves too thin and potentially get too weak and fail.
Okay.
I think we have the right model. Do it well and then move on.
Okay, great. What about you? What's next for you?
Oh my gosh. Years and years in Thailand, I think. As I said, I look out the window and there's so much opportunity. We haven't even scratched the surface. So much growth in the company to develop people and organizational development. I can't imagine working anywhere else right now. So I hope.
So you fall in love here in Thailand?
I hope they just let me stay here.
Okay. And we hope you are here with us too.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Lastly, I think we learned a lot from you today, but if someone wants to become a CEO, how will you suggest them to do to groom themselves, to nurture themselves to become a CEO if they have the dream?
I think there's no secret ingredient. I think everyone has his own story. My story is really around three things. I was always the hardest working student. I was always the hardest working young employee. I came to work early and I went home late, and I really worked hard. So I don't think there's any replacement for hard work. With that, I took a lot of jobs. I didn't just go straight up. I took a lot of different jobs so that I had more skills than my competitors, my competitor colleagues. So that's one thing. Second, you have to take risk. As I mentioned, I left borders sometimes within 24 hours on a phone call. So I put myself at personal career risk to advance my career because I felt that was one way, and I wanted to explore. So I think people have to take a lot of risk. Third, it's all about the people. It's not about you. It's not about your career and your development. Obviously, that's what you're doing. You're growing your career. But I wasn't successful because of me. I was successful because of the people that worked for me made me successful. So the ability to work with people and mentor and coach them and make sure you bring out the best in them. If you do that, even if you only have 5 people working for you, you will look more successful. You will be more successful, and they will actually push you to the next job. That's what worked for me. I hope it works for others.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for joining our program
ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณครับ และนี่ก็คือวาระของ CEO ท่านนี้นะครับคุณจอห์น เอ็ดดี้ อับดุลลาที่พร้อมที่จะนำพาบริษัท Dtec นะครับเดินก้าวเข้าไปเมื่อวงการโทรคมนาคมของไทยก้าวเข้าสู่ยุค 4G ครับและที่สำคัญนะครับที่คุณจอห์นได้ฝากไว้นะครับสำหรับ 3 ข้อเป็นเคล็ดไม่ลับนะครับสำหรับใครที่มีความฝันที่จะขึ้นมาเป็น CEO ครับอย่างแรกต้องมุ่งมั่นทำงานหนักนะครับพร้อมที่จะรับความเสี่ยงที่เกิดขึ้นและที่สำคัญไม่ลืมนะครับคนที่เดินข้างๆเรานะครับให้ความสำคัญกับทีมเวิร์คนั่นเองครับและนี่ก็คือทั้งหมดนะครับของรายการ CEO Agenda ที่นำมาฝากคุณผู้ชมในวันนี้นะครับต้องลากันไปก่อนแล้วครับแล้วเจอกันใหม่นะครับที่นี่ครับกรุงเทพธุรกิจทีวีธุรกิจเต็มรูปแบบแห่งแรกของไทยครับ